I know this is a video that you guys have been asking me to do, and finally I have done one for you guys. I've got a top 20 Ylang-Ylang fragrances video for you today, and I've highlighted a lot of great smelling Ylang-Ylang fragrances. If you're a fan, or if you're not and you want to learn about Ylang-Ylang, then stick around and I'll let you know my top 20 Ylang-Ylang fragrances. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Ylang-Ylang fragrances today. Let me know if you're a fan of this note. It's a floral note. I've seen Ylang-Ylang come up in quite a lot of fragrances, and sometimes it takes the back seat. It's more of a supporting player, and a lot of times it takes center stage. It is a prominent note in fragrances, and I've got both kinds here in this list. You know, I was never a fan of Ylang-Ylang, and I think the fragrance that really got me to enjoy Ylang-Ylang is this one right here, Ylang 49 from Le Labo. This is in the list today, and it's quite high up on the list. I'll let you know why I enjoy that one. So we're going to start off the list with a fragrance from a small house out of France called MAISON MATINE. It's BAIN de MIDI, this one right here. Look at that bottle. These are fun fragrances. They're not that expensive, and a great way to get used to the note of Ylang-Ylang in this case, but with other notes and other fragrances. But BAIN de MIDI is a beachy, tropical, floral fragrance utilizing a lot of Ylang-Ylang along with Tiare flower. There's Gardenia here, coconut, bergamot, vanilla, musk. If you like fragrances that take you into that beachy, coconut, tropical direction with an overdose of tropical flowers, BAIN de MIDI is a really, really great one. It's not necessarily uber intense. It's somewhat easy to wear, but it gives you that whole experience of the beach, going into a little bit of a suntan lotion direction and things like that. So BAIN de MIDI is starting off at number 20, then going to the house of Maison Margiela, it's Beach Walk. Yes, I'm featuring this one down here. I like it as a beach fragrance, but as a Ylang-Ylang fragrance, I prefer some of the other ones. But I think this one has a lot of fans. I know you might be a fan of it. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. This is Ylang-Ylang with coconut. There's musk, heliotrope, lemons, pink pepper, bergamot, and benzoin. For me, once again, it's a kind of a salty skin beach tropical sunscreen kind of a combo of notes, but I guess the inspiration is the salty skin after, you know, you've put on your suntan lotion and you've jumped into the pool and got back out, and how that water dries on you. That's the inspiration. So it's, you know, got flowers, tropical flowers, and musky notes and things like that. That's Beach Walk right here. If you're familiar with that one, let me know. Moving on to the house of YSL. Not going into a tropical direction, not going into a beachy direction. This is more of a floral bouquet. This is YSL's Supreme Bouquet, this one right here, created by Dominique Ropion. Basically, it's a floral bouquet, and you've got all kinds of different flowers here. You not only have tuberose, we've got Ylang-Ylang, there's amber here, there's woods, patchouli, pepper, bergamot. So it's somewhat white floral and also yellow floral because Ylang-Ylang is a yellow flower. And I do get those kind of banana-ish qualities when I smell them. But for me, I should say the Ylang-Ylang is not necessarily smelling of ripened bananas. It's more like almost green bananas, but when you cut into them and they're not that ready to eat yet. That's the kind of banana it is, because it does tend to go a bit sour, but it's very, very tropical. You've got that feeling here and the reminder of bananas. And here you get that mixed in with the ambery notes and of course the overdose of jasmine. Supreme Bouquet, great name for a fragrance, but I think that's pretty underhyped as a fragrance. Moving on to the house of Juliette Has a Gun, it's Lust for Sun, this one right here. This is Juliette Has a Gun's fragrance paying tribute to Ylang-Ylang. It's a very beachy fragrance. With Ylang-Ylang, there's bergamot, orange blossom, Amrboxan, Gardenia, coconut, freesia, jasmine, white musk, and vanilla. So this is their beachy fragrance, and even though they have vanilla vibes, I think that's what it's called, I've forgotten what the name is. Vanilla Vibes has that kind of salty vanilla, slight beachy experience. This is more tropical floral beachy, and you have the Ylang-Ylang really in your face here, but it's done in the style of Juliette Has a Gun. They do use molecular notes like Amrboxan to kind of prolong the life of the fragrance on skin after you're wearing it. If you like their fragrances and you like the idea of Ylang-Ylang, definitely check out Lust for Sun here. This is from the house of Juliette Has a Gun. Let me know if the Ylang-Ylang note is sounding great to you. If you have a favorite Ylang-Ylang note, do put a comment down below so I can find out what it is. And so far, if any of these are fragrances that you wear, do let me know that you like them and everything. But moving on to the house of Gucci, going to their Alchemist Garden collection. This is Chant for the Nymph, this one right here. This is such a sweet take on a vanilla fragrance. I feel like there's an overdose of ambery honey in here. Like it comes off very honeyed. But in the end, it's Frangipani, which is a tropical flower. Love the smell. Ylang-Ylang, which is what I've been talking about here. And there's also Tiare flower. These three flowers together, along with the idea of vanilla, gives you that kind of suntan lotion vibe. This is that extremely powdery, but when I wear it, it's honeyed. It's so super sweet and honeyed powdery, but with an ambery base as well. If you like the overdose of sweet floral notes, tropical floral notes, definitely try Chant for the Nymph. Moving on to the house of Zoologist perfumes, it's Chameleon, this one right here. So Chameleon most likely is the inspiration of the chameleon and its habitat, and I guess tropical habitat, because we've got Ylang-Ylang here as a star note, and this is done in the way that fragrances of Zoologist perfumes are done. Not necessarily mass appealing, but as a fragrance, I think it's totally wearable compared to some of their other stuff that's more edgy. But this is Ylang-Ylang, starfruit, mango, frangipani, coconut, violet leaves, cashmere. It's a bit green leaning and not necessarily hot and humid and warm like the Chant for the Nymph or a Chant for the Nymph, but definitely a fun, a bit candied, sweet, green Ylang-Ylang note. And remember, I was saying Ylang-Ylang to me smells of unripened bananas, but sometimes they do smell ripened, and it's because of the notes they put in there to kind of give you that kind of a feel. I myself am not a big fan of overly ripe bananas, although I'm also not a fan of unripened bananas because I don't think they taste good. They have to be perfect, and when it's that perfect taste, I think it doesn't really smell like Ylang-Ylang. It's that green ripened banana for me that gives me that kind of sour banana-ish quality. But either way, that's the Zoologist's perfumes Chameleon. Moving on to the house of LOEWE, this is PAULA'S IBIZA Eclectic. So this is not the original PAULA'S IBIZA, which was more green leaning. This to me is more tropical leaning, and of course they've thrown in a lot of Ylang-Ylang in this one, and you definitely smell it when you smell the fragrance. It's there. Even when I'm smelling it out of the bottle there, it smells of Ylang-Ylang because it's overdosed. And I think it's one of the most tropical floral notes that's used a lot in fragrances. It doesn't get into the territory of the Frangipani, even worse the Tiare, because when you have Tiare in fragrances, it tends to be extremely tropical, and with Ylang-Ylang, it doesn't necessarily always go tropical, but here it does. Ylang-Ylang, night blooming jasmine, orange flower, mandarin, black pepper, incense, frankincense, coconut, vanilla, musk, and sandalwood. Really nice fragrance. I prefer the other one a little more because it was very unusual beachy fragrance, going green and kind of aquatic marine. Here it definitely is developed like a beachy tropical floral fragrance in the style of LOEWE. So this is PAULA'S IBIZA Eclectic. And then moving on to the house of NYHILO, this is VESPER GLITZ. So we don't have a tropical fragrance here. It's mostly a floral, amber floral fragrance. It does utilize two yellow flowers. It has mimosa and Ylang-Ylang. Ylang-Ylang is a yellow floral note, but it's also very tropical. In addition to those notes, we've got neroli, vanilla, pink pepper, musk, tonka, jasmine, cedar, mandarin. It's a really delicious fragrance. It's just a warm, a really delicious tropical floral, amber floral fragrance. So the combination of ambery vanillic notes with the notes of flowers, yellow flowers, white flowers, tropical flowers, and things like that. It's done in a way that it's easily accessible, not very edgy or nichey. So I kind of feel like this has a very mass appealing quality. It does lean feminine, but I think a man can totally pull it off. So it's VESPER GLITZ from the house of NYHILO at number 13. So I wanted to remind you guys that there are a series of videos on the channel on tropical fragrances. We've got tropical fruity, tropical floral, tropical beachy. There's a bunch of them. If you're into the idea of tropical fragrances, definitely go catch those, because a lot of these are and some won't be. You'll know which ones, I'll tell you. Next, at number 12, it's Chanel Bois d'Ile, this one right here. So this one is not necessarily one of my all-time favorite Chanel fragrances, but it has a lot of fans from the comments I noticed. This is not necessarily very tropical floral. It's sandalwood, Ylang-Ylang, tonka beans. This is basically Chanel's sandalwood fragrance with the addition of a lot of Ylang-Ylang here. So it comes off very floral and tropical floral, but it doesn't really go into that beachy direction. But it's creamy, smooth, and there's that reminder of the whole Chanel DNA in their fragrances. You'll recognize it. Once you get to learn their fragrances, you'll notice their DNA going from one to the other. You'll recognize it here. But it's very woody and also floral with the Ylang-Ylang, and some sweet note comes in the base notes as well with the tonka beans, but it's not an overly sweet fragrance. I feel like basically the stars of the show are the sandalwood with the Ylang-Ylang. If you're into the idea of sandalwood with that whole Chanel DNA, definitely try Bois d'Ile. It's, like I said, not my all-time favorite Chanel fragrance, but it has a lot of fans, and I wanted to highlight it here for the usage of Ylang-Ylang. But moving on to the house of Parfums d'Ucita, it's La Douceur de Siam, this one right here. So this is one of the first fragrances that were launched from this house, and it's a gorgeous bouquet of flowers. And we've got not only tropical flowers, we've got your traditional flowers in here as well. We've got rose with champaca, amber, frangipani, ylang-ylang, violet leaves, sandalwood, vanilla. It's a really, really gorgeous fragrance, and definitely paying tribute to this gorgeous bouquet of flowers. Does lean feminine if you like the idea of flowers, floral notes, combining the usage of your tropical flowers with your flowers that are, you know, growing around you if you don't live in the tropics and things like that. Definitely. It's just basically like a bouquet come to life. And when I think of this fragrance, I envision a bouquet for a wedding or something. It's that kind of a very elegant kind of a floral fragrance. So this is La Douceur de Siam. I guess with that fragrance, the Ylang-Ylang is not super in your face, but it's just really nicely blended with everything else. Same thing with this one. This is the House of Les Eaux Primordiales. It's Magnolia Super Critique, this one right here. Even though it says Magnolia, this is highlighting Ylang-Ylang with the same kind of prominence of the magnolia that's in here, along with osmanthus as well. So it's a bit fruity, very tropical, and the magnolia note that's in here is just the kind of magnolia that not too distinct, doesn't smell too floral. It's got this creamy aspect to it, but smells like spring in the tropics a little bit, because magnolias, and although, you know, magnolias do grow in the tropical regions as well, they're just this most beautiful floral note for me. And I feel like a man can totally get away with magnolias because they're not too distinct in smell. And if a man is very put off by jasmine, tuberose, gardenia, maybe they like the idea of flowers, definitely try something like a fragrance focusing on magnolia. But a really gorgeous fragrance, a bit fruity, a bit green with a fig note, but just a really gorgeous fragrance to wear from the House of Les Eaux Primordiales. So this is Magnolia Super Critique. But moving on to the House of Tom Ford, it's Soleil Blanc, this one right here. Soleil Blanc is definitely one of the best in the Soleil series from Tom Ford, and it's definitely beach in a bottle in the Tom Ford way. This series, there's like 4 fragrances in the series now. I feel like this is number 2. Soleil Neige is number 1 in how I enjoy the fragrances. But this is Coco de Mer, Benzoin, Tonka, Ylang-Ylang, Jasmine, Tuberose, and Bergamot. So a lot of warm notes with white flowers. So it's beachy, tropical, and definitely really cozy and laid back, and like it's a vacation in a bottle. So Soleil Blanc from the House of Tom Ford. And then if you're looking for a holiday vibe, well, going to a vacation, another fragrance that's like a vacation in a bottle. It's Mancera's Holidays, this one right here. This is definitely a holiday, a beach holiday, tropical beach holiday come to life. I'm not a fan of going to those kind of vacations myself. I like to go to cities mostly, but I've been to some, and I totally get the idea of that smell of the suntan lotion that you put on your skin. This is Coconut, Tiare, Flower, Ylang-Ylang, Vanilla, Sandalwood. It's got a very smooth, cozy quality about it, and it gives you that kind of relaxed, beachy feel with the, you know, the addition of the fruitiness of the coconut and the tropical flowers, including Ylang-Ylang. So Holidays at number 8. So next up, going to the House of Fragrance du Bois, it's Oud Jaune Intense, and this to me is kind of like the previous fragrance, but more in a fruity direction. In the end, we've got lots of tiare flower here. This very distinct flower, as I was mentioning earlier. There's fruits, ylang-ylang, jasmine, pineapple, and white flowers. So basically, just imagine taking that Holidays fragrance or the Tom Ford fragrance into more of a fruity tropical direction with the addition of those same flowers. So you're at the beach and you're enjoying this bowl of fruits, the smell, the fragrance, you know, mixed in with your suntan lotion on the flowers that are blooming in the heat in the tropical locale where it's like the waves crashing at the beach and kind of a thing like that. I'm painting a nice picture for you. I like that kind of it's a very relaxing, cozy feel, and that's what you get with Oud Jaune Intense. The thing with that fragrance is it's called Oud Jaune Intense. Oud is so minimal on me. I don't get much oud. but it is definitely tropical, floral, fruity. Next, moving on to the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, it's Aqua Vitae Forte. And a really, really great fragrance from this house. Really wonderful, paying tribute to Ylang-Ylang. And you have Aqua Universalis Forte, but this is more of the solar floral version. It's Ylang-Ylang with mandarin, orange blossom, benzoin, bergamot, lemons, cinnamon, sandalwood, gaiac, cardamom, pink pepper. Great. One of the best fragrances from this house. I enjoy wearing it. The Forte is where it's all at. I don't like the Cologne Forte, and I don't like the original. And I like its heft and intensity here. And it smells really, really fantastic in a Maison Francis Kurkdjian way. Solar, flowers, tropical flowers, a bit spicy, a bit woody, but really delicious. So it's Aqua Vitae Forte from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Then moving on to the house of Diptyque, it's Omoheli, this one right here. Look at the back here. So Omoheli is... It's interesting. I discovered this fragrance during the grand opening of a local, but not necessarily local to San Francisco, Diptyque store. It was in the summertime, and I went to this opening and was smelling all the Diptyque fragrances, and this one stood out. Sometimes fragrances do that in specific temperatures, because I've smelled this fragrance so many times it never really jumped out at me, but in the heat it really came alive. This is a tropical floral fragrance featuring Ylang-Ylang with additional floral notes. There's some ginger here, pink pepper, vetiver, and benzoin. Vetiver and benzoin, you've got an ambery, woody, grassy base, but it's all nicely done with some spice and tiare. I'm sorry, not tiare, but Ylang-Ylang and additional flowers. And the tiare flower word came out of my mouth because they're crediting flowers here. They're not saying what, but I feel like there is some tiare flower in this, in addition to something like Frangipani or other white floral notes, along with the overdose of Ylang-Ylang. So that's Omoheli from the house of Diptyque. And a recent Ylang-Ylang discovery, Ylang-Ylang fragrance discovery, is Maison Durac's Ylang d'Or, this one right here. Wow. Amazing fragrance here, and really, really long lasting and super amazing. So this one to me, it's more of a conventional with traces of some tropical feels in the fragrance, if that makes sense. But in general, I get tropical touches from the Ylang-Ylang flower, but this fragrance, I don't think it wears like a beachy tropical fragrance. In the end, it's Ylang-Ylang with jasmine, coconut, Sichuan, Timur, pink pepper, cardamom, bergamot, tuberose, cedar, and patchouli. So basically, you've got the Ylang-Ylang and coconut in here. So you've got some light traces of some beachy touches, but the rest of it is kind of spices and woods and things like that. And for a wonderful wear. It's an extrait de parfum, and it comes alive in the heat. Really wear it wonderfully. It smells great. It's fantastic with that light touch of beachy tropical floral thing happening with the overdose of the Ylang-Ylang. Really wonderful offering here. It's Ylang d'Or from the house of Maison Durac. Let me know if you're familiar with that house and that fragrance. It's getting good, guys. The next three are amazing. The top five is really, really amazing, but at number 3, it's M. Micallef's Ylang in Gold. I've been a fan of this fragrance since 2015, I think. It used to come in a different bottle where it was kind of milky and it would settle, and then you turn around, it's got this smooth, almost like a lava lamp, like hypnotic feel to it. It's too bad they don't have that bottle anymore. But Ylang in Gold is a amber floral fragrance, but a tropical amber floral. Ylang-Ylang, vanilla, sandalwood, coconut, geranium, citrus notes. So super delicious. It's warmed up and intensified, made ambery, vanillic with an overdose of the Ylang-Ylang. It's a really, really great smell. You can smell it. It's just warmed up and sweetened up here with a lot of vanilla. And it's very smooth and creamy as well. The fact that it has sandalwood and a coconut note as well. So Ylang in Gold is number 3. Number 2 is Giardini di Toscana's Bora Bora. So good. This is so good, guys. Really super delicious. My number 2 favorite fragrance from Giardini di Toscana next to Bianco Latte. And it is wonderful the way they made this fragrance. It almost smells like there's carnation or cloves in here mixed in with the Ylang-Ylang note. But it's Ylang-Ylang, tiare flower, coconut milk, vanilla, apricots, jasmine, white musk, jasmolactone, caramel, and amber. Going into a gourmand direction with tropical floral notes, my kind of fragrance, with some fruitiness of the coconut, but it's more of the coconut milk. But a really, really delicious fragrance. If you haven't tried this one, you've only tried Bianco Latte, please try this because it's amazing. Really amazing. Bora Bora at number 2. And I've already mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but my number 1 favorite Ylang-Ylang fragrance is Ylang 49. So this is a version or a bottle that I purchased way before it went over to or probably around the same time that Le Labo was transitioning from independently owned to Estee Lauder. So I don't know the current formulation, but here for me, this is a masterpiece, I think. It's basically old school Ylang-Ylang focused fragrance, but not going into a beachy tropical direction. So it's Ylang-Ylang, Patchouli, Oak Moss, Tahitian Gardenia, Vetiver, and Benzoin. Man, it's amazing. If you like fragrances like Clinique Aromatics Elixir, anything in that kind of a direction, you will definitely like this one. It's a lot of patchouli and oak moss with that Ylang-Ylang note, so it's a bit banana-ish, but not sweet at all. This is not a sweet fragrance. Even though it has that benzoin, it doesn't sweeten up much. It's just basically lots of yellow flowers with the earthy notes of patchouli and oak moss. And a little bit of the creaminess from the white gardenia comes in here as well. Amazing, amazing fragrance. So that's why Ylang 49 is my #1 favorite Ylang-Ylang fragrance. Let me know your thoughts on these Ylang-Ylang fragrances. Put a comment down below. And if you have a favorite Ylang-Ylang fragrance, let me know what it is so I can find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.